Hello, everyone. Welcome to Beyond the Scoreboard. I'm your host, Michael Lyons. Welcome back. It's been a couple weeks since we've been doing the show. Vacation, not really much to talk about, so taking a little break. But we are back, and today I'm going to be saying the most important player to break out this year for each and every NBA team. First off, we're going to talk about a little bit what's been going on in the NBA since the last show. Not much, only three moves so far, and then John Wall officially retired a couple days ago. Um, Sad to see that he had such a short prime. A lot of people aren't really going to understand what John Wall was in his prime unless you were there to watch it. One of the most entertaining players of all time, and just an amazing star in the NBA. Washington Wizards with Bradley Beal and John Wall. Those are some fun teams, especially with Marcin Gortat laying those Polish hammers. And yeah, it was just super fun player. University of Kentucky legend, one of the greatest high school and college mixtapes of all time, and even NBA mixtapes of all time. It's just sad to see he had such a short prime and never could really amount to anything after the injuries. So sad to see that John Wall didn't live up to the expectations that was put on him when he first came into the league, but super amazing player. Loved watching him play and excited to see what he's going to do in this next chapter of his life. Um, because that's one of the biggest things right now with some of these NBA players. They understand that they can't just survive off everything they get from the NBA, even though John Wall got a $50 million contract for a year. Um, One of the biggest players I look at for that is Derrick Rose, and how as soon as he retired, he was into something new with the whole chess um, competitions and setting up different businesses around Chicago. So super fun to see that D Rose is doing it. Want to see what John Wall's going to do, because he does have a large fan base, and he could start something new a post NBA career. So we'll see what happens. Now, since the last show, we've had a couple moves. Starting off on August 5th, we had Chris Boucher signed a 1 year deal with the Boston Celtics. Like the move by Chris Boucher, going to a championship level, or not championship level team this coming year, but uh championship pedigree team. Get your name out there a little bit more. Prove to people that you still have a lot of value. Chris Boucher didn't really play great last year in Toronto. Uh, Change of scenery might be good for him. He fits what the Celtics want from like a five man, big four man. And prior to this move, they also moved on from George Niang and traded two future second round picks for RJ Lewis Jr., who was an undrafted rookie this past year in the draft. Big East Player of the Year this past year. Uh, I know all about him. Watching him, he's an amazing player. Uh, Excited to see what he can do. I thought he was going to be in the draft, but I think seeing that final uh, Big East tournament game against Creighton, the Big East championship game against Creighton, and where he didn't finish the game, probably rubbed some teams pretty wrong and forced him to go undrafted. But I think landing in Boston, he'll be able to carve out a little role in his rookie year, and we'll see what goes on from there. Um, Next up on August 14th, we saw the Milwaukee Bucks sign free agent wing Amir Coffey, which I think is a pretty solid signing for the Bucks, not really having a lot of wing depth right now. Amir Coffey able to give them a little bit of everything on the offensive end and the defensive end, coming off a year where he just averaged 7 points per game. Shot the ball 45%, so not terrible, but still some room for improvement. Uh, if he can knock down some corner threes, spot up threes off of Giannis's drives, could be a really solid player for them this coming year. Then the final move before we get into me saying every breakout player this year, the Miami Heat traded forward Haywood Highsmith and a 2032 second round pick to the Brooklyn Nets for a 2026 second round pick. Um, just really getting off the contract of Haywood Highsmith. I thought he's really carved out a role in Miami, and it's It's kind of weird seeing him not in Miami, but hopefully in Brooklyn he'll be able to get some solid minutes. But I think he's kind of going to get lost in the rotation with a lot of young guys wanting to play. So we'll see what that goes on for the Brooklyn Nets and Haywood Highsmith. Now to the most important player to break out this year. Now, some of these players are young guys. Some of these guys are already proven stars that I think just need to break out into a different role, maybe solidify themselves. So take it with a grain of salt for each thing. And it's more like important to the team succeeding this year and then in the coming years for this breakout year for them. So we're going to start at the top of the Eastern Conference with the Cleveland Cavaliers. My most important player to break out this year is Evan Mobley. Now, coming off a Defensive Player of the Year campaign last year, I think he is the best player on the Cleveland Cavaliers. He is the most impactful player on the defensive end of the ball, and he just won the Defensive Player of the Year. If he can expand that offensive game to shooting more than 13 shots a game, I think he could become one of the best players in the NBA. And that's what the Cleveland Cavaliers need him to do to get over the hump. In a weak Eastern Conference this year, they have every single opportunity to go to the NBA Finals and compete for a championship this year. And it's going to come off the backs of Evan Mobley expanding his offensive game, being a little bit more aggressive, and just proving to everybody that he is the best player on the Cleveland Cavaliers. Um, Donovan Mitchell, great player. If he goes down with an injury, if Darius Garland goes down with an injury, they need Evan Mobley to step up on the offensive end because you know what you're getting on the defensive end with him. So, Evan Mobley, offensive game jump is what I have for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Next up, I have the Boston Celtics with Neemias Queta. With a shortened center rotation this year, he can really solidify himself as a solid starting caliber center in the NBA. Now, this team, obviously, they're not going to be competing for a championship. If they were competing for a championship, it would probably be Anthony Simons or Peyton Pritchard or somebody. But this is a team that they're just looking at something to grasp onto this year, with Jaylen Brown maybe not playing a lot of games due to injuries, and Jason Tatum going to be out the whole year. Neemias Queta, I'm super high on him. He is a Sacramento Kings guy. I love Neemias Queta. I loved him since he's come into the league. I think he is a really good center. Kind of fits what the Celtics want as a big rebounding center down low. He just needs the opportunity. No Porzingis. Outside of that, Luke Cornett is also gone. They don't really have any other centers to take minutes away from him, so it's his spot to lose. And I really think he can break out this year and prove to everybody why he could be a solid starting center in the NBA. Next up, we got the New York Knicks, Mitchell Robinson. Now, obviously, Mitchell Robinson is one of their best players, and this isn't really a breakout. It's more, can Mitchell Robinson stay healthy for an entire year or a majority of the year for the New York Knicks? He's coming off a year where he just played 17 games, I believe, and the year before that, 31 games. If he can get back to playing those 50, 60 games he was a couple years ago, this New York Knicks team could battle for the one seed with the Cleveland Cavaliers. And we know how impactful he is on the defensive end of the ball and as well as rebounding. He is probably one of the biggest swing players for the New York Knicks and being a championship level team or a championship contender this year. Because you got Gershon Yabusele kind of as that 4-man, 5-man, but you don't really want to play him as a 5-man if you're not super like strong in consideration of Cat being your starting center. Mitchell Robinson proved in the postseason last year you can run both those guys at the same time. It's just, can Mitchell Robinson stay healthy and get him for a whole year so we can really understand the impact of both of these centers on the court at the same time? Because if they get more and more time together during the regular season, the postseason is going to look even better. And Mike Brown offense, he's going to get Mitchell Robinson running the floor. He's going to get him jumping for lobs. He's got Jalen Brunson throwing him lobs. This team could be really scary if Mitchell Robinson stays healthy for the whole year. So that's my breakout player for the New York Knicks. Now, the Indiana Pacers, kind of in a weird spot. Don't really know what their direction is going to be this year. Some people are super high on them still being able to be a top four seed. Some people don't even have them making the play in. I think they're going to be somewhere in that rotation. But my breakout player for them is Benedict Mathurin. A lot of people are high on Andrew Nemhard, which I was between either one of them. Andrew Nemhard getting more on his plate. He's going to be in talks for most improved player this year, I think. But I think Benedict Mathurin could also be in those talks. Um, no Tyrese Halliburton. Can he really prove to everybody that he is the scorer that we've seen in glimpses of him? Can he put that together for a whole year? That's what I want to see from Benedict Mathurin this year. If he can jump into a 20 plus point per game scorer during a contract year, he's going to put the Pacers in kind of a weird position. But trade value for Benedict Mathurin will go up. Tyrese Halliburton coming back the following year, or Benedict Mathurin, you bring him back and you have Benedict Mathurin, Andrew Nemhard, and Tyrese Halliburton as like your proven scorers with Pascal Siakam. You just need that five man. Uh, and you also have Aaron Nesmith. So I think Benedict Mathurin is a very huge candidate in the swing. If this Pacers team is going to be good this year, I think Benedict Mathurin's really going to have to jump into the 20 plus point per game scorer on efficient scoring. And also Andrew Nemhard, who is going to jump. And I'm just expecting that from him. Benedict Mathurin, I could expect him to continue to be what he is, or I could expect him to jump. So that's why I have him as the breakout player this year for the Indiana Pacers. Now, the five seed, the Milwaukee Bucks. I have Ryan Rollins. Now, he needs to become a solid both sides of the ball point guard. He has size, he is skilled. He needs to become a steady hand when Giannis is in or out of the game. Um, they have a lot of scoring options with Kevin Porter Jr., Kyle Kuzma. They don't really have a steady guard that can get them into their sets. I want to see that from Ryan Rollins. Obviously, he isn't really much of a star. You're not really expecting much from him. But if he can become that steady point guard, maybe take over that starting point guard role from Kevin Porter Jr., because in my opinion, I see Kevin Porter Jr. as a six-man backup point guard who just comes in and gets you buckets, get you some energy. Ryan Rollins is somebody that I can see as a starting point guard with Giannis on the court who can knock down a couple threes from time to time, gets the ball into sets for Giannis, for the shooters like AJ Green and Kyle Kuzma. That's what I want to see from Ryan Rollins this year, and hopefully he can prove everybody that he can be a starting point guard in the NBA this season. Next up, the Detroit Pistons. They have a couple people that are honestly up for this debate. I picked Ron Holland. Now, Ron Holland, second year guy, so you're kind of expecting a jump from him. But if he can break into that 3-point shooting stretch that he was in Summer League, this team could be really, really scary. I think he shot around 50% from the 3-point line in Summer League, but these were on confident threes. That's the biggest thing with Ron Holland and all these guys around Kay Cunningham. I want to see confident shooters whenever they have a chance and they're open, they're going to knock down their shots. That's what I want to see from Ron Holland this coming year. You know what you're expecting on the defensive end, and you get him and Asar Thompson on the defensive end flying around, causing mayhem, and you got Beef Stew and Jalen Duren on the back end. This team could be really scary, and if Ron Holland can knock down those 3-point shots next year, kind of fill the void that Malik Beasley and Tim Hardaway Jr. are leaving by exiting the team, that could be huge for the Detroit Pistons. Obviously, Jaden Ivey is somebody else that could be in this conversation, but I really want to see Ron Holland jump. He was the third or fourth pick this 2 years ago in the 2024 NBA draft. I want to see him prove to everybody that he deserved that draft pick, and being able to knock down the 3 point ball, play elite defense is something that can always prove your worth, and he'll be a starter for this Detroit Pistons team again next year. Next up, we have the Orlando Magic. They have a couple people as well that I think could really jump out and break out. I think Anthony Black really needs to become a steady hand off the bench. He's shown flashes, but I just want to see a whole year of him being a consistent point guard who can knock down some 3 point shots, get the bench unit into some sets, and just continue a good offensive game when Paolo, Franz, Desmond Bain are all out of the game. But then Jalen Suggs, who was dealt with some injuries this past year, if he deals with injuries again next year, I want to see Anthony Black be able to jump into that starting lineup and do what he can do off the bench, get the team into sets, knock some shots down. These are the biggest things. He has the size, he has the skill set. The defensive end, he's not a slouch. He's not a plus defender. He's an average defender. Um, just due to his size, to be honest. If he can get a little bit more active on the defensive end, that could also help his case. But just be a steady hand. Be able to get your team into sets. Be able to be confident with the ball and knock down some shots from time to time when you need to. Next up for the Miami Heat, got Jaime Jaquez Jr. Um, First off, it starts with him breaking into the rotation. Rookie year, he was fourth in Rookie of the Year voting in his rookie season. Last year, barely played any games. So first off, he needs to break into the rotation. Haywood Highsmith's gone. Um, Nikola Jovic really hasn't proven himself. Kyle Anderson is also gone, I believe. So it really starts with Jaime Jaquez breaking into the rotation, but getting back to the level of his playing time when he was in his rookie year. Miami always kind of looking for a star. If he can get back to that level he was playing in his rookie year, they could look at him, Andrew Wiggins, and somebody else packaging them all together, trying to go get a star, like the Miami Heat are always looking to do. If not, I think Jaime Jaquez Jr. could really be a solid rotational piece for this Miami Heat team for years to come. It's really just about him getting consistent playing time. And yeah, his value could be at an all time high if he comes into this year. He plays the minutes he deserves, and he plays like he did in his rookie year. That's who I have for the Miami Heat. 9, the Atlanta Hawks. I have Kobe Buffkin, um, backup point guard for the Atlanta Hawks. They've had an amazing offseason, bringing in Nikhil Alexander-Walker, um, Kristaps Porzingis. The only thing this team is missing is a backup point guard. If Kobe Buffkin can break out, him or Keaton Wallace, to be honest, one of those two, they need to become that solid, solidified backup point guard role for this Atlanta Hawks team. Because if that is something they can find, this Atlanta Hawks team has the ceiling to be in the conference finals, battling for the NBA finals this coming year. It's just all reliant on this backup point guard role. I'm not all reliant because Kristaps' health is also very reliant on how good this team is going to be. But even with Kristaps going down with an injury, this team could still be really good if this backup point guard position can get solidified. And I think Kobe Buffkin is going to take that over. Obviously, in my opinion, I'd want to see Keaton Wallace take that over because he's a better defender than Kobe Buffkin. But I think the role Kobe Buffkin could play is like a mini Trae Young off the bench. Not to the level that Trae Young's giving you, but he could get you into sets. Great scorer, and he can knock down the three ball, and he could pass the ball a little bit too. So like a mini Trae Young for this team coming off the bench. That is huge for the Atlanta Hawks this coming year. Next up, the Chicago Bulls. they're kind of in a tough position. I wanted to put Modest Buzelis, but I think I think he's going to break out, so I don't think that's going to be anything that anybody's not expecting. Somebody that I'm not expecting Chicago Bulls fans and the NBA fans to expect to break out is Patrick Williams. He has all the defensive intangibles, just needs to live up to his contract on the offensive end. And if he can start knocking down the three ball a bit better, like he did a couple years ago, that is entirely that's huge for the Chicago Bulls team and how they could maybe jump from a play-in team to maybe battling for that last playoff spot. Patrick Williams, obviously super raw still, kind of even in his fourth or fifth year. It's really just he has the defensive intangibles. He needs to be active on the defensive end. He has other options where the offensive end doesn't need him knocking down crazy shots. He just needs to sit in the corner, sit at the top of the wing. If he can just knock down a couple threes a game, maybe get a couple layups, this guy could be looked at as an all defensive player as well as one of the better 3 and D guys in the NBA. And his value would be so high for the Chicago Bulls team. Billy Donovan obviously likes these bigger wings that kind of do a little bit of everything. If Patrick Williams could knock down that 3-point ball this coming year, he could be one of the best breakout players this year for the Chicago Bulls. Next up, the Toronto Raptors. Grady Dick is who I have for the Toronto Raptors. He has continued to grow in his first 2 years of the NBA on the offensive end and maybe take. I want to see him maybe take over that starting two guard position from RJ Barrett because there's been talks that the Raptors are trying to move on from RJ Barrett, and I don't know if it's going to happen before the season, maybe around mid-season, but it could really happen at mid-season if Grady Dick is coming off the bench, lighting the game up from the 3-point line, showing why he deserves to be in that starting lineup, giving them a little bit of a different look. Um, Being more of a active 3-point shooter and just like kind of a pure scorer in Grady Dick. But that is somebody that I could really see taking over, and this Toronto Raptors team could be really dangerous, even if they keep RJ Barrett and then they just keep Grady Dick as a bench piece. It's just him really coming off the bench, giving them everything they want and everything they expect from him. And I really can see this happening. Out of all the people that I've had on this list so far, I really think Grady Dick is the most um, capable of breaking out this year, and I'm super excited to see what he's going to do with this Toronto Raptors team. Next up, the new Brooklyn Nets. I have Day'Ron Sharpe. Just got paid a little 2 year, $10 million contract extension, 2 year contract for the Brooklyn Nets. Um, he is one of the best rebounders in the NBA. And like we've seen in the finals and even in the just early playoffs, offensive rebounding is so important down the stretch of games. I really think if he can continue to do what he did last year and maybe expand on the offensive end, maybe be a little bit more active with screen setting with some of these younger guys that are good lob throwers like Yegor Demon and Nolan Traore, he could really pop off this year. And maybe Nick Claxton, who's been in trade talks for the past couple of years, maybe they see him and they go, Day'Ron Sharpe could really take over the starting center role. So Nick Claxton is a movable piece, and we could bring in more draft capital because we want to rebuild. And then Danny Wolf can be the backup center. So that's really what I want to see from the Brooklyn Nets and what I want to see from Day'Ron Sharpe this coming year. Next up, Philly, Trendon Watford. Obviously you could put like Joel Embiid for playing all more games. Still not super excited or super not thrilled to see what's going to happen with this Joel Embiid and how we're still not really sure what we're going to see from him and how many games we're going to see from him. But for their breakout player, I put Trendon Watford. Prove that he just didn't put up empty. I just want to see him prove to everybody that he wasn't putting up empty stats with the Brooklyn Nets. Um, and he plays a winning style of basketball for any team. He's on a super cheap, super free, team friendly deal this year for the Philadelphia 76ers. And if they are healthy, he could really be one of the most impactful players for them. He does a little bit of everything on the basketball court. Really solid defender. Offensive game isn't super crazy, but he's a good rebounder. He kind of plays a little bit like a Draymond Green. So if you can play that role for this Philadelphia 76ers team, getting in dribble handoff sets with Tyrese Maxey and Jared McCain, this team could be really fun to watch and really scary down the stretch of the season if they are healthy. So that's why I have Trendon Watford as their breakout player. Next up, 14, the Charlotte Hornets. This is a really young team. Um, LaMelo Ball is already broken out. Miles Bridges is already broken out. Brandon Miller was somebody that was up for talks of breaking out this year, but I put Musa Diabate. Um, Not a really known guy around the NBA, but I think if he can jump into that starting center role for the Charlotte Hornets team, after it's pretty thin right now, it's between really him and Ryan Kalkbrenner. The energy and effort that he plays with, being a guy that's only played basketball for a couple of years, he kind of is like a Pascal Siakam. Trying to think who else. Like some of these African born players, how they've really only gotten to playing basketball in like recently. Like they haven't been playing their whole life. So he's still really raw, and if he can just fine tune some things, he could be a really good starting center in the NBA on this fun, energetic, fast-paced Charlotte Hornets team. And I just think he could really solidify himself as the starter. And Ryan Kalkbrenner, obviously being a backup center, could be really solid for them, gives them a different look. But I'm excited to see what Musa Diabate is going to do this year. And I picked him as my breakout player for the Charlotte Hornets. Now, the Washington Wizards, another really young team. I picked Keyshawn George as my breakout player for them this year. The size and skill set of a star in the NBA, and would like to see him play with the confidence and play style that he played with in Miami. Um, Obviously, he was a guard at Miami. He's a bigger body, though, so he's playing a little bit more of the forward position. He has the skill set of a guard in a bigger guy's body. I want to see him utilize that skill set, and I really think he could be the best player out of this young core for this Washington Wizards team. It's all about him just putting it all together, and I think with being a bigger guy, getting buckets a little bit easier, I think this is the year he's going to break out. And I want to see it for the Washington Wizards, seeing they have a breakout guy, have all these young guys that they're just waiting on to break out. So this rebuild can be a little bit sped up for them. So that's why for the Washington Wizards, I picked Keyshawn George. Now, starting with the Western Conference, the Oklahoma City Thunder. I don't really have anybody to break out. I guess I'll go with Nikola Topic. I found it really hard to pick who to break out this year. Because I don't really see anybody breaking out. So I'm just gonna go with Nikola Topic. Obviously, a lottery pick in the 2024 draft. Missed his whole rookie year. He could probably be in rookie of the year talks if we plays how we've kind of seen him in summer league. So I'm gonna go with Nikola Topic. Maybe takes over minutes from AJ Mitchell, who again is another guy that's capable of breaking out. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Nikola Topic. I found it pretty hard to pick for this Oklahoma City Thunder team. Um, but I guess I'll go with Nikola Topic as my breakout player for them. Next up, the Houston Rockets. I'm going off this for Ime Udoka and what he said. Reed Shepherd has to break out this year for the Houston Rockets. Ime has already came out and said Reed is probably the most important piece for them on wanting to compete at the highest level. So you have Kevin Durant. He's not getting any younger. You want to be competing this year. That's why you brought him in. This is the year Reed Shepard breaks out. Obviously, I say this is the year. It's his second sophomore year, but really disappointing rookie year. Saw his minutes get cut towards the end of the season, but I think the amount of skill set he has, being able to come in and be that backup point guard role for them, is something they really needed last year in the playoffs. With Fred VanVleet going out of games, need a steady hand and a guy that can knock down some confident threes. Reed Shepard could be that guy for this Houston Rockets team, so he has to break out this year. Next up for the Los Angeles Lakers, I have Jake LaRavia. Now, I was between Jake LaRavia and Bronny. DeAndre Ayton, I feel like he's already kind of broke out as a player. But Jake LaRavia, can he fill the void of Dorian Finney-Smith? And can he break the curse of players coming to the Lakers and not being able to shoot like they used to? He is a 3 and D guy, and that's what the Lakers need with this roster they have right now. They need a 3 and D guy. Jake LaRavia could do that. He's obviously not the defender that Dorian Finney-Smith is, but he can fill the void a little bit. Also Marcus Smart coming in, he doesn't have to solely be the perimeter defender for this Los Angeles Lakers team. It's just, can he get back to the shooting he was with the Memphis Grizzlies and with the Sacramento Kings? That's super important for how good this Lakers team could be this year. So Jake LaRavia is my breakout player for the Los Angeles Lakers this year. Next up, the Denver Nuggets. Got a couple guys that I could have picked here, but I picked Peyton Watson. Can he continue to take 3-point strides and 3-point shooting from this past year? And can he take a few more shots down the stretch of games when Nikola Jokic is getting double teamed, triple teamed, and really, really put himself in the NBA as a lockdown? That's really what I want to see from Peyton Watson, because he comes in the game, he's supposed to be their defender off the bench. Can he really prove that this year and coming into next year's playoffs? Because this Denver Nuggets team is going to be a playoff team. If Aaron Gordon goes down with an injury, you want to see Peyton Watson come in, be able to fill that void of Aaron Gordon. I think he's capable of doing it. Just want to see him shoot the 3-point ball a little bit better and really lock in on the defensive end this coming year. So Peyton Watson is my breakout player this year for the Denver Nuggets. Next up, the Los Angeles Clippers. I had this one as a blank one, and right now I was between Bogdan Bogdanovic, who had a really bad postseason last year, and then Bradley Beal. I think I'm going to go with Bradley Beal as who needs to break out for the Los Angeles Clippers. Now, obviously, everybody knows who Bradley Beal is. It's just, can he get back to what he was 2, 3 years ago? But even if he can just play like he did last year, the biggest thing with Bradley Beal is he wasn't a bad player last year. He wasn't a bottom 5 player in the NBA last year. He was just so overpaid that it made him look so much worse. Bradley Beal isn't a bad player. He was just an overpaid player last year. That's what we need to get through everybody's brain last year. So if he can get back to that, be confident down the stretch of games, be able to fill in when James Harden or Kawhi miss some games, this Clippers team is going to be really good. So I'm picking Bradley Beal as the breakout player this year for the Los Angeles Clippers. Next up, the Minnesota Timberwolves. We've kind of already seen him break onto the scene, but Terrence Shannon Jr. Has to take over, fill the void of Nickeil Alexander-Walker from this past offseason. Losing him was a big loss, but Terrence Shannon Jr. can come in and be that new guy for the Minnesota Timberwolves, and really showing the scoring potential he has, while also showing the defensive potential he has. He could really become a star in the NBA, I believe. Um, Obviously, when he was in college, he was one of the best scorers in his senior year. Obviously, some legal trouble made him drop in the in the draft. I think he probably would have been a lottery pick. So Terrence Shannon Jr., we really know he does have that potential to be a star. And I think this year he could really prove it, be that second fiddle to Anthony Edwards. And I don't know, some of these guys could be looked at as being expendable and being looked at as other options to bring in some other guys for this Minnesota Timberwolves team. And it's really reliant on Terrence Shannon Jr. breaking onto the scene this year. Now, the Golden State Warriors. I don't know. They're in a tough position. I'm gonna just go with Quentin Post. He's really the only center they have on the roster. He's gonna get continuous minutes all season long, and he just really needs to take advantage of those minutes. On the defensive end, that's really what I want to see him improve on this year. He's a solid. He's an okay defender. I want to see him become a solid to average to a little bit above average defender for this Golden State Warriors team. He has to be the anchor, and we know what you're going to expect from the offensive end. He can knock down a couple threes once in a while. He's going to get some dunks down low. Maybe the offensive rebounding I'd like to see also get expanded on. Losing Kevon Looney. I mean, people like to make fun of Kevon Looney because he's not a star, but he was really impactful for the Warriors in their last championship, and he could have really probably taken over in that Rockets series because even he has said that he could have taken over in that Rockets series because that's what he thrives for, just being a rebounding magnet. So Quentin Post has to be able to do that, and I think that is why he's my breakout player this year for the Golden State Warriors. Next up, the Memphis Grizzlies. Zach Edey. I want to see him really expand on the offensive end of the floor. Post coaching change last year, Talmas Isolo really implemented a lot of high pick and roll, which really favored Zach Edey. I just want to see a whole year of that. Also, getting more confident on the defensive end, solid screen setter. We know what you're going to expect from Zach Edey. He's a two-time National Player of the Year in college. He can be that in the NBA as well. And just being able to um, get easy buckets for himself off of setting really solid screens. That's what I want to see from Zach Edey. I think he could jump into consideration for not defensive player of the year, all defensive teams this coming year. So Zach Edey is my breakout player for the Memphis Grizzlies this coming year. Next, my team, the Sacramento Kings. We don't have a lot of people that could break out, but I want to see Keegan Murray get back to where he was in his rookie year. So Keegan Murray is my breakout player this coming year for the Sacramento Kings. Just get back to the three-point shooting that you were in the rookie year, and while also being the most impactful defender in the starting lineup. You're our only defender in the starting lineup because we're not looking at Zach LaVine. We're not looking at Dennis Schroeder. We're not looking at DeMar. And Sabonis is a solid defender, but Keegan Murray could really be our best defender with a perimeter oriented team in the Western Conference. We don't have a lot of perimeter defense in the starting lineup. Now, obviously, off the bench, we have Devin Carter and Keon Ellis, but Keegan Murray's really going to have to hold his own on the defensive end while also being able to get back to that three-point shooting from his rookie year. So he needs to break out this year, kind of break back out onto the scene. Next up, the Dallas Mavericks. Obviously, they have a couple guys that could break out. I'm just going to go with kind of a guy I've been talking about all offseason long. Not really a breakout, but D'Lo needs to shoot the ball at a better rate than he has the last couple years while he's in the starting lineup, but could be a great creator and setter for Derek Lively and Cooper Flag to continue to grow and develop depending on how this Dallas Mavericks team decides to go. If they start off this year and they're really bad, Kyrie Irving could just take the whole year off, and we're looking at Cooper Flag and Derek Lively just continuing to excel, continuing to grow their game. D'Lo could be somebody that could really help that and how great of a setter he could be on the offensive end. He's a great creator. Anthony Davis obviously is also there, so D'Lo just needs to shoot the ball better, and then just be D'Lo. To be honest, go back to those Brooklyn days of D'Lo where you were hitting some tough step back threes, but also was really getting everybody into the game. That's who I have as the breakout player for the Dallas Mavericks this year. Next up is the Phoenix Suns. Now, I put Jalen Green as my breakout player for them this year. Um, I just want to see him prove to everybody that he could be a second option in the NBA. Um, Obviously, when he was in Houston, he was the guy there for the first couple years of his career. I just want, because I don't look at him as a number one option on a championship level team, but as a number two option on a championship level team or a competing team, I think that team could be really, really good. And obviously, when your number one option is Devin Booker, that's going to be even better. But Jalen Green just really needs to prove that he can be a great second option and maybe get a little bit more engaged on the defensive end. That's all I'd like to see. But that's why I put Jalen Green as my breakout player for the Phoenix Suns. Next up for the Portland Trail Blazers. Obviously, they just brought back Damian Lillard, but he's going to miss a whole year. I want Scoot Henderson to break out this year. Scoot Henderson needs to become the guy in Portland. They really need him to pop this year, in my opinion. Um, they spent the third overall pick on him. He needs to prove why he was that third overall pick. He has a full year of where he can take over this starting where he can take over this starting point guard role. This is the year for Scoot Henderson to break out. And I mean, we said it last year, but this year, his third year, he's more um, engaged. He's more willing. He's got Damian Lillard in his corner. It's between Scoot and Shaedon Sharpe, in my opinion, to break out this year. But I think Scoot Henderson is the guy to break out this year. Prove to everybody why he was worth that third overall pick and why people were having talks of him going over a Victor Wembanyama and over a Brandon Miller during the prime of Scoot Henderson going into the draft. So Scoot Henderson is the breakout player this year for the Portland Trailblazers. 13th, um, the San Antonio Spurs. Devin Vassell is the guy on the Spurs that I think could alter this season on how this team could. I'm looking at this Spurs team and I'm thinking they're going to be a playing team. But if Devin Vassell proves to why he should be always in the starting lineup, this team could be propelled to a top six seed, missing the play in entirely and just being a solidified playoff team. He has also been looked at as being movable, but I want to see him prove to the San Antonio Spurs that he's a part of this younger timeline and that he is a guy that you don't move on from because he is a star in the works. That's what I want to see from Devin Vassell this year. Um, just be a little bit better defender on the defensive end. Continue to do what you do on the offensive end. Obviously, he's going to get some shots taken away from him, but be efficient in your shots if you're not putting up the same amount of numbers you were the past couple of years. Devin Vassell is the guy that could break out this year. Castle broke out last year. They got another rookie, two rookies coming in Carter Bryant and Dylan Harper. You got Jeremy Sohan and you got Keldon Johnson, who are all kind of just in that mix of the wing. I want to see Devin Vassell take that wing position and be, I'm the guy. I am the guy for this team at that three. So that's what I want to see from Devin Vassell, and that's why I have him as my breakout player this year. Next up is the New Orleans Pelicans. They don't have a lot of people, in my opinion, that I want to that I'm expecting to see break out. It's Zion. Can Zion have a really healthy year? Because if he can get fit, the Pelicans are going to be forced to play him in more games. Obviously, we saw that whole thing where he was getting talked. or he was getting interviewed and he was like, I play for the New Orleans Pelicans, so they kind of dictate whether I play back to backs. I want to see Zion Williamson have a fully healthy year because we've seen when Zion's on the court, he's one of the best players in the NBA. I just want to see that for an entire year. Prove to the Pelicans that this they don't really need a rebuild. They don't need another guy. They have a solid team. It's just can they stay healthy? And I think Zion is the head of that snake for healthy players on this team and for this New Orleans Pelicans team to be looked at as a comparable team in the NBA this coming year. So Zion is my breakout player just due to health. And finally, the last team, I have Bryce Sensabaugh for the Utah Jazz as the best. He has the best ability to break out of any player in the league this year, in my opinion. And it's just all about him putting it together. He could easily be a 20 plus point per game scorer and in most improved player talks this year. That's exactly what I'm expecting from him. He's going to be my pick for most improved player, I believe. Still a little bit away, so things could change, but I really am projecting him to be the most improved player this year. That means breaking onto the scene, taking over as a Utah Jazz guy. Ace Bailey, rookie year. This Utah Jazz team could be really special in a couple years with the amount of talent they have. And Bryce Sensabaugh going into his third or fourth year, I just really want to see him break out. So Bryce Sensabaugh is my breakout player this year for the Utah Jazz. That has been every player's most important player to, or that has been every team's most important player to break out this year. Let me know your thoughts and opinions. But this has been Beyond the Scoreboard, and I'm your host, Michael Lyons.